result is out. Laraba, what do you think about the result?
I will say APC won. They won according to the uh, that's the returning officer, the scope. He announced. Let me get my figures. He announced that APC, that's among other parties, APC won with about 201 201,494. I'm just going to go with the major parties. Then the opposition PDP won with about 89,554, and Labour Party won with 11,379 votes, and then NPP won with 200, 200, 200, 264 votes. Total number of votes casted is 300,000. 314,478, while the rejected votes is 6,301. So that is it.
Okay, that happens to be one of the strongholds of the All Progressive Congress. Do you think it was a good outing for the APC in Ekiti?
Oh, of course, of course. I'm sure right now there'll be jubilation in their camp, because for them this is a sign of other states coming in. And but one of the things that stood out for me was the party agents that were around. They were satisfied with the results. So that is, for me, is also another sign that we are going to have a good outcome from this election, and hopefully a violent-free outcome.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll be going live now to London, where mentoring Commandant Alista Shoyode will be joining us live on Zoom. Hello, Commandant. Can you hear us?
Yes, hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's actually evening here.
Ah, good evening.
Okay. The result for Ekiti was just released a few minutes ago, and I'm very sure you are in tune with what is happening here. APC leading with about 201,000 votes, with the closest rival, which is the PDP, 89,000 votes, and the uh, Labour Party, 11,000 vote plus. Ekiti happens to be one of the stronghold of the All Progressive Congress. PDP coming with 89,000, and the Labour Party coming with 11,000 plus. Do you think this is a good development for the All Progressive Congress?
Well, thank you very much. It is a reality that APC control Ekiti State. The former minister in the government of President Buhari, who also contested under the APC umbrella, Fayemi, is a strong person in Ekiti State, and the recently concluded election in that state as well allow APC to maintain their lead. So there's no surprises there. The surprising factor is actually something that we have to quickly remember. There are more than 900,000 people registered to vote in Ekiti State. Now, the turnout there, with this number that we have, just roughly about 300,000, only indicated about 30 to 33% turnout in Ekiti State, which is supposed to be a stronghold of APC. Now, with 200,000 and the PDP getting almost 89, 90,000 precisely, that is almost near half of what APC gained in a stronghold state that belongs to APC. And of course, the performance of the Labour Party is well recognized, because at least they have 11,000, which is almost 10% or 15% of what PDP gathered in Ekiti State. So at the end of the day, definitely APC will be happy, but the number is much more below expectation, whereby almost 600,000 people actually did not vote, or their vote has not yet been counted.
There are insinuations that one of the reasons for the voters' low turnout is because of the cash crunch, that people were not able to access money to go to where they will be able to vote. Do you think this was responsible for that?
Well, let's take it that it definitely contributed to the performance of the whole election in the country. There's no doubt about that. But the picture as well is normally people should be able to vote not too far from where they live, which means your polling units should not be far from your community or your surrounding area or where you live precisely. So if we're not saying that people must have money, with the performance of this election, they ensure that technically that is a good thing that people should not rely as to go and do to go and perform their right based on money or the inducement of people giving them money. So out of that context, it is good. Uh, but at the end of the day, it is definitely still a very low turnout in a state that is so strong for APC.
Before my colleague Laraba would ask you one or two questions, I would say, for example, I registered for my voter's card in 2011 or thereabout, and from that time I know I've stayed in more than three houses in different states of the federation. And the difficulty people face when they have to transfer their voter's card to a point of voting, the issue of you're supposed to vote in your neighborhood will definitely not come up again because people have to change addresses and some other things. Are there advices that you would want to give to the INEC as far as changing voting location is concerned?
Well, like where the advanced democracy, when you want to move from one location to another, from one area to another, all you have to do is just inform the council that you have changed your location, and immediately it will be updated. In the case of our country, Nigeria, it's definitely a different option, is a different scenario. But still, I believe that when people know that the election is coming around, they should immediately notify the INEC in their state, or more or less go online, because all the thing we're talking about now is based on technology, based on machines, based on computers. So people should be able to do that within weeks to get the update that they have changed their location. But again, a lot of people as well tend not to remember or do not want to do it, believing that they will go to where they have registered. And some of them actually do forget that they have registered, but not executing what they're supposed to do. So it's a two-way scenario whereby the voters need to be up to date, while INEC as well need to make sure that the technology they're using is up to date, especially what we're one of the reasons why they gave for the delay result being counted, or for the delay result being submitted by different states.
Okay, my question, sir, is on the bimodal voter accreditation that system that the commission deployed across the country. Some have complained of it malfunctioning. What do you make of that, despite the assurances given by the commission?
Well, one has to take the opinion of Nigerians. Nigerians are very upset about this delay. There's no doubt about it. A lot of people were injured. A lot of people sacrificed their blood and sweat to make sure that they come out to vote and vote for their chosen candidate. At the end of the day, for the machine, for the BEVES to not function well, is really something that INEC has to take the responsibility, because nobody is supposed to have access to this BEVES machine. Only INEC is supposed to, and they are responsible for it. So the excuses given, well, a lot of people are not buying that, are not keen into that. So one has to be mindful that the election is still on, and how we present this scenario is very critical in this hour. But at the end of the day, it's all due to the responsibility of INEC making sure that this machine perform to the best of their ability. And based on what we are seeing, to now use the actual election day to say they're testing those machines is ridiculous. And I'm sorry to say, we do have hope in the system. We have hope as Nigerians, and hopefully, well, sometimes you said water has already gone under the bridge, and indeed water has run through. But we have to make sure that remedy and I don't want to use the word court, but definitely the legal framework has to play a major role in this case that we're facing, or rather in the cases that it's going to face INEC.
Okay, so I'd like you to speak to the logistics issues that we had. What advice will you give the commission? Because build up to this day, we saw that they signed memorandum with the Shippers Council. They signed a memorandum with the Road Transport Union. But despite that, we witnessed where materials got to voting unit late. And then also, we also saw where vehicles at the point of movement was also packed up. What advice would you give the commission?
Well, there's quite a lot of reason why those things do happen. Number one, we know the crisis of fuel shortage. Suddenly now they face the crisis of the liquid cash or the cash in hand for them to be able to do what they have to do. But again, we have to remember that weeks ago, INEC and the CBN confirmed that they have access to all the necessary money and cash they need to implement and execute the election without any problem. So what we are now seeing is that all our promises were not delivered to the Nigerian people, and somebody needs to be responsible for the chaos created and passed through the election period. The Transport Association may have a reason as well to the effect of the delays. And again, we have seen vehicles that were not supposed to, on the normal situation, carrying those ballot papers. But again, maybe because of shortage, crises, and other means, they just have to come in the last minute to help. And then, of course, a lot of papers, based on videos that we have seen, some of the vehicle end up having accident, intrusion. Some people, I don't want to go on that, but there were a lot of injuries noted in delivery of the ballot papers. So will you now classify this election to be the best? Only time will say.
Before I pass on to my colleague Festus, I'd like to ask, have you witnessed any vote buying? Because Nigerian election has had history of vote buying. So I don't know if this year you've gotten any reports regarding that, sir. I'd like you to speak to that.
The reality is that sometime I want to allude to the situation whereby you go to the market and you have the sellers trying to sell their product to you, and then at the end of the day you then decide who you're going to shop from. That is almost the same situation that people give the reason that you must carry money for the sake of giving people so that they command the polling unit, or to give people so that they can go back home. But personally, I have not witnessed any. And of course, the reality is it will be hard for such thing to be eliminated at a given period in Nigeria. So it's a process that people begin to realize that somehow, somewhere, the vote buying is going to reduce, and definitely in this election, vote buying did not become like it has been in the past and previous election. So we're grateful that the technology, the BVAS machine, and the accreditation system reduces vote buying in the country.
Okay, sir. The question now would be, is almost going more than 24 hours, the election, the voting process started, and just this evening, we are only having a result for only Ekiti State. The chairman of INEC has kind of adjourned for a break till 11 a.m. tomorrow. And a few people are kind of wondering what is the benefit of going digital in our voting system when we still need to wait for that long to get our results. What would be your reaction to that, sir?
Well, the truth is, Mr. Festus, one has to be, you really cannot blame the technological progress that we're supposed to be made by INEC and the Nigerian people and the Nigerian politics. But somehow somebody has to take the total blame, to be honest, why this happened. Because with the BVAS, with the immediate result being delivered to the INEC polling, the central office, that is not achieved. And that is a failure. Let's be realistic about it. They made promises as a commission that this would be delivered, this would happen, this will happen. And I believe that the president and at least the Senate approved all these things during the process of giving the requirement that INEC demanded given to them. At the end of the day, the Nigerian people then expected that as they voted, within hours, they will actually see the result automatically. And actually, some days ago, there was a trending that the INEC website went down. And that should have given an indication. That was even before the election. It went down. And so for us now to increase the agitation and the pressure and the stress on people is really uncalled for. But at the end of the day, again, I would like us to still keep that hope alive that the best of the candidate will emerge, not for the sake of just the commission, but for the sake of the so-called 80 plus million people that have access to their PVC. And if now somebody wants to take into account that in Ekiti State, with almost 987,000 people who have registered to vote in 2023, and only about 300,000, which is roughly, as I said, about 33% of that vote in Ekiti State actually go out to vote, then we have to recalculate ourselves to say, is the commission doing the best that they can? Under the circumstances, it seems so, but somebody has to take the blame, and somebody really has to take the blame.
As a former presidential candidate in the 2019 general elections here in Nigeria, where you are a major player, and as a Nigerian in diaspora with so much passion and dedication for the growth and development of Nigeria, are you satisfied with the process so far?
I would lie to say I am satisfied. No, I'm not satisfied. Probably many people are not satisfied. People that cannot even vote are not satisfied. People that actually went to vote at where they were asked to go and vote, and yet there is no representative of INEC to allow them to vote, are not satisfied. People who have voted and now waiting for the transmission of that result immediately are not satisfied. People now that have to wait again till tomorrow, which is Monday, are not satisfied. So it's not about the satisfaction of one, is that the majority, without any doubt, of Nigerians are not satisfied with this, because everybody now is going to go to bed thinking what is going to happen overnight. We shouldn't give room for where people already have a perception of challenges and negative outcome to their life. We shouldn't give room to that. And we are in a very dicey situation in our country, whereby we know the major four candidate has been presented out of the 18 political parties. They come from different regions. They represent different religion. And for one, is a South or is a North, is a Muslim or is a Christian. We shouldn't increase the reason why people will have high blood pressure. But again, sometimes we as Nigerians, we tend to survive through various dimensions of high blood pressure, stress, whatever you may call it. But at the end of the day, for the sake of our dear country, we have reached this mileage, we have reached this bridge. Let's do the best that we can. And we hope that the commission will do the best that they can. Because even the chairman is doing the best that he can. His management are doing the best that they can. But somebody somewhere definitely needs to take the blame, because Nigerians are not exactly happy about this. And of course, the international community that are looking to us, yes, I'm absolutely grateful. I'm satisfied in the aspect that there is peace in as many places as possible that you thought it might be jeopardized. So based on that, yes, I'm hopeful. Based on looking into the future, I'm very, very hopeful and enthusiastic about it. But again, please, we shouldn't increase the tension.
The amended electoral act that was signed in 2022, we were made to believe that it was going to be a new heaven, a new era for our voting system in Nigeria. And like I asked before now, a lot of people are still disappointed. As someone that is very knowledgeable in international politics, would you say that amended electoral act has added any value to the current system we are seeing right now in Nigeria?
It is supposed to have added big value, 100% increase in the politics and the democracy that we're practicing in Nigeria. But the reality is, it ended up not achieving much, because leading to the election, there's quite a lot of cases in court. There are stories of people who did not participate in the primaries, imagine as candidate. There are issues of the Beavers working correctly because there was a mock trial before the election. yet people were not able to exercise their voting right. So there's a lot of things that we are learning and a lot of things that we are seeing. But one thing that we should always consider is when people have created something and it works, we need not to go into building it from scratch, because that's the reason why somebody has went through it as a nation or as a person to make it happen. So we as Nigerians really, it's time we should stop accepting failure as success and blaming things that really have nothing to do with the failings, and focus on things that can galvanize, unite the country, especially in this critical time. And our politics and our election is supposed to have bring us together. But right now we're in that position of thinking otherwise until tomorrow, Monday. And hopefully everybody and every state result will be there. And if not, then we say it until Tuesday.
Okay, I will say you even preempted my next question, Commandant. You talked about unity. We saw where persons came to polling units and said if you are not from a particular state, you would not vote at that polling unit. Can you please speak to Nigerians on what we should do to be more united?
Well, I think if I have to take that into account, truly speaking, one has to call on the security agencies, because it's every Nigerian right to be in the northern part of the country, in the southern part of the country, or in the eastern part of the country, or in the southwest, anywhere in Nigeria. As long as you're Nigerian, you have the freedom to be anywhere. It's sad to come across those videos, and it is sad to identify those people who are actually creating this tension in that community, in that state, and across the country. My call really is for the security agencies to immediately apprehend each and every one that has contributed to that kind of a threat, and actually deny people their right for them to vote in a legitimate election. They need to be brought to book, and the Nigerian government, through the security agencies, which means through the Nigerian police force, need to bring these people to book, and they need to show them that they are dealing with those cases independently. Because if not, really and truly, we can say whatever we want to say. If we're not able to unite and deal with criminal elements, then people will not have the freedom to be free and fair. And at the end of the day, we hope that after all these challenges, a bit of this minor crisis that we're facing, that the new government will be able to immediately set up maybe a committee to deal with the unity of the country, bringing people together as a representative to unite the country so that we can build Nigeria, not Nigeria for Nigerians only, but Nigerians for the African continent and the Black race.
Okay, I would like to still speak on pockets of violence that has been recorded across the country still. Would you say, compared to 2019, what would you say, has violence increased or has it decreased?
Well, with 2019, definitely is a kind of a different scenario, though maybe there has been a higher recorded version of violence in the country. While with this time, in this period, definitely there has been recorded violences as well, but this was induced more by the way that the leaders leading to the election have been presenting their cases. Of course, followers tend to follow the leaders. So if there are all this violence that we have seen, it was generated by allowance of what the leaders ascribe to their followers. And again, when you now look at some of the violence were caused due to, number one, maybe the people were not able to vote, they were there on time, and then realized that some people were actually locked them out, were thumb printing on their behalf. And then other places where they are supposed to be there, and then again, they were blocked by elements that have nothing to do with the election, then to go there to disrupt the election. So the violence are there, and in true sense, we have to be grateful that, bearing in mind that the tension and the news all around the candidates were